Betty White, she's been in the entertainment business for more than 7 decades, and at 90 years old, she's hotter than ever. I sat down with her to talk about how she stayed relevant all these years and her lifetime commitment to animal welfare causes. Thank you so much for joining us, Betty White. This career that you've established for yourself for more than 7 decades.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Is that ridiculous to you? Is that you didn't plan that out?
I didn't plan that out. I'm the oldest broad in the business, I think.
And you're a very beloved figure across America. You're working on a lot of projects right now. Tell me about a few of the things that you're doing. I know you're doing Betty White's Off Her Rocker.
That's a silly show, but it's fun. It's one my agent talked me into. I said I didn't, I couldn't do another show because I'm already doing a series, Hot in Cleveland. And so I said, I just can't, Jeff, and I'm not that carried away about, well, don't you know, it caught on. And we got nominated for an Emmy.
And amazingly, you've been nominated for many Emmys. You were nominated, you got an Emmy for your Saturday Night Live appearance.
Which Jeff, my agent, Jeff Witches, forced me into. I said, I can't do Saturday Night Live. I'm such a California product and they're so New York, I'll be like a fish out of water. He said, you've got to do it. So I got an Emmy.
And when you did that, there was this big push on Facebook. Over 500,000 people went on Facebook and said, we want Betty White to host this.
Isn't that, it's just ridiculous. But I'm thrilled and I'm flattered, but we've got them fooled.
But there's something that tells me that you have really used your experience in the business to figure out what works in show business.
I think, Lee, honesty. I think being yourself, not trying to be somebody else. Because when I started out in this business, on a talk show, 5.5 hours a day, 6 days a week, for 4 years with no script. So if you're trying to be somebody you're not, somewhere in those hours you're going to slip up, and so the more you can be yourself and be honest, I think that helps.
There was a poll conducted by Reuters that said that you are the most trusted and popular celebrity in America, over Tom Hanks, over Denzel Washington.
You're making that up.
I'm not making that up. I'm not making that up. And you have used your platform then for a variety of causes, including animal welfare.
Well, when people are so kind to give you that kind of support, you like to spread the word on the ways they can help the creatures that I love. And I must admit they have done a magnificent job. They support many of my animal causes, and I've been with the Morris Animal Foundation for 50 years, over 50 years. We're a animal health organization, and we help fund humane studies into specific health problems of dogs, cats, horses, and zoo and wildlife. And we help develop the feline leukemia vaccine and the parvovirus vaccine for dogs and stuff. So you can help something you believe in strongly just by using that celebrity. And I'm deeply grateful to the people who've helped so much.
And then there's the organization Home Again that you're active in.
What I didn't know until I worked with Home Again was that 1 in 3 dogs at some time during their lives gets lost. Well, they have this little, the size of a grain of rice, this little implant that they put between the dog's shoulders, just under the, just implanted. And it has all the dog's information, address, license number, all the things that help. If somebody finds a lost dog, they can take it to a vet, and the vet can scan it and find out where the dog belongs. It's a wonderful organization.
And that's important to you because you have a dog, Pontiac.
I have my beloved golden retriever Pontiac, and so of course he has his home again implant, and but he's never very far from me. He doesn't go very far because wherever I am, he is.
How do you decide which causes and which products to endorse?
It's tough because you get, when you're lucky enough, I'm the luckiest old broad on 2 feet, but you get a lot of choices, and you get to the point where time runs out and you have to choose and then say no to the rest. And you want to say yes to them all because there's so many worthy causes out there. So I try to do the best I can with the ones I work with.
I remember you for your roles, especially on Mary Tyler Moore, Golden Girls. You did Mama's Family. You have Betty White's Off the Rockers. So many different shows over the years. What would you say your favorite role has been?
That's tough. Between Mary Tyler Moore, which kind of changed my career. I started out in the business, as I think I mentioned, 5.5 hours a day, 6 days a week for 4 years with no script. So you just were winging it as we are now. And it was a wonderful experience. You kind of grew up on television. But then I'd meet somebody at a party, and they'd say, "Oh, thank God you're not as sweet as you seem on television." Oh, and so I thought you were so sweet, my teeth would fall out and stuff. I said, "No, trust me, I'm not that sweet." And so the Mary Tyler Moore role came by, where I was Sue Ann Nivens, the neighborhood nymphomaniac. And so everybody would say, "Oh my Lord, it's a whole different you." And that broadened and changed my career. So Mary's very responsible for my getting a different image.
And what did that do for you as a businesswoman in the business of entertainment? All of that experience early on for the things that you're doing now, how did that prepare you?
You rely on it. You play back on it because I've been around so long. I've been around I've been actually in the business since 1949, and that was before anybody in this room was born. And so it's a big privilege to be doing that. But you have done enough through the years that you fall back on things, and you can rely on, well, what do I do here? Well, it worked for such and such a thing during the career. And I love this business. I love television. In movies or in theater, you're playing to a big audience. In television, you're playing to no more than 3 people. If there are more than 3 people in a room, they're not listening to you, they're talking to each other. So that camera lens becomes like talking to you. And I just love it.
How have you seen the business change in your career? What is the biggest change that you've seen?
In the audience. The audience has, when it started, television was the movies. Film was the thing. No, theater was the thing, and then I should say theater, and then film. But television was that thing that people did that couldn't do anything else. Now it has switched to the point that people would kill to be on television. Again, for the same reasons that I just mentioned. And it's tough because the audience has heard every joke, they've seen every plot, they know where you're going when you start out. That's a hard audience these days to surprise, and so you have to keep working at it, and you have to get a rapport with that audience.
Well, it helps when you have a strong brand coming in already, which you've been able to build. What has been the most difficult part of the changing industry?
Trying to stay not fresh. At 90, you don't stay fresh. Let's put it that way. But I mean, to try to stay relevant, so that you understand what is going on around you in the business. And I've been so blessed and so lucky to still be allowed to stay in there. That doesn't always happen, and it's a privilege that I never take for granted.
Early in your career, you had the Betty White show, and it was canceled after
I
one
had,
season.
I think overall I had about 4 Betty White shows. At one point I wanted to name my show Yet Another Betty White. It was canceled, and I've had several shows canceled, and then you just kind of move on to another one.
Was there ever a time where you felt defeated or you felt like giving up?
No. No, I love this business too much. I have too much fun. Now the question always is, when are you going to retire? Which I'm sure is wishful thinking on their part. But why should I retire from something when I'm still having such a great time and lucky enough to still be able to do it?
What goals do you have for your career now? Because you have done so much. What?
Oh, I'd love to keep doing what I'm doing, particularly Hot in Cleveland, working with those girls. To get blessed with another group of women like we had on Golden Girls is such a blessing. And it's like getting struck by lightning twice.
Yeah.
Jane Leaves and Valerie Bertinelli and Wendy Malick I can't say how much we love each other. We miss each other. We're going back to work on the 27th of August, and I've got to tell you, we can't wait. We miss each other, and that's good to be able to say that genuinely.
What advice do you give to the younger actresses that you work with about staying relevant in this business?
Again, I go back to that. It's boring, I know, but be honest. Treat that audience with identity. They're not just you're not just talking to a camera, to a big thing. You're talking to that individual. And as I say, if there are more than 3 people in a room, they're not listening to you. So try to make eye contact and try to find yourself interested. If you're interested, they'll be interested.
What do you enjoy more, improv or scripted?
Oh, improv. It's much more fun. Although I love scripted, I'm not putting scripted down. And my heroes in the business are the writers. I mean, they make miracles with every script that they turn out. Just to keep that going every week on a series. You get it together and you give it to the actors, and then you turn around and you can't go say, whew, that's done. Oh my gosh, we've got next week's show to do. You know, it's tough.
Are there young actors and actresses in the business that really impress you, or comedians?
Oh, many. My problem is, with my schedule what it is, and it sounds like such a cop-out, I don't get time to watch. So I can't familiarize myself with the youngsters coming up. Oh, obvious ones, yes, but the newcomers I'm not as hip to because
Because you're working.
I'm working.
Right.
That's right.
That's a good problem to have.
It's the best problem to have. Certainly, you wake up in the morning and you can't wait to go to work. That's a nice business to be in. They asked, Johnny Carson asked Betty Davis one night when she was on his show, what advice would you give to young actors? She said, take Fountain. Well, in Los Angeles, that doesn't mean anything anywhere else, but in Los Angeles, Fountain is the main street that you take across town. And so she said, what advice would you give young actresses? Take Fountain.
And when you look at all of the people that you've known over your Johnny Carson and the past cast members, and you've outlasted everybody, you've continued to go. How do you keep your energy level up?
I'm blessed with good health. I don't know. That came from the best mother and father in the world. I was an only child and I got all the good health genes. So I'm blessed with that. And my energy just stays up. And at 90, you're pretty grateful for that, you know, because so we'll see how long it lasts. But the fact that I'm still being invited to do things.
And you still look great.
Oh, well, that's a matter of opinion.
Stunning.
Well, but I've got a team of people who pull me together. But I just, I can't imagine how lucky I am. Sometimes I think, why am I blessed with all this good luck in this life? I've got to pay for it somewhere along the line. So.
But there's got to be I know you're being humble, but there's got to be some aspect of business savvy that you bring to the table based on everything that you've done, because there are lots of people that started out in the business with you that are no longer, that didn't have careers like this.
That's what I mean. How have I managed to hang in there and keep them?
I'm asking you that.
I don't know.
From a business standpoint.
From a business.
As a businesswoman.
I have wonderful representation. Johnny Carson and I started out together. We were at a local station here in Los Angeles, KLAC, and the manager of the station, Don Fedderson, found both of us at the same time. So Johnny was doing a game show, Who Do You Trust? And I kept correcting him, saying, it's Whom Do You Trust? And I was doing my Life with Elizabeth series at that time, and I was also producing it, which was not necessarily par for the course in those days. So through the years, Johnny and I just stayed friends and good associates, and I was so privileged to know him. Oh, I still miss Johnny so terribly. And so, bless her heart, Alexis, his widow, still contributes to the LA Zoo. She still helps in every way she can. So the careers were mutually supportive for over the years, and it was lovely.
Do you expect to do another book?
I've got one in the works. It's a juvenile book for youngsters, and about where do the animals go at night? This little girl wants to know. So I'm having fun with that, but I didn't intend to start into another book, and then you get hooked.
Well, you get hooked, and you've hooked the young people. I have an 8-year-old niece named Dara who caught wind that I was interviewing you, and she said, Betty White!
You're kidding, really? Well, give her my love.
But the fact that you've connected with the young people, too, that you've crossed the generations, how do you think you've been able to do that?
I have at 90, I honestly don't know, except maybe it goes back to honesty, that thing we mentioned before.
Okay, I keep asking the same question.
No, but it's a case kids can pick up if you really mean it or if you're putting it on. They pick it up like animals pick it up. Animals read you. You can't fool an animal, and you can't fool a kid, really. If you don't mean it, they pick it up. Or people who are gushing over kids. Yeah, I've seen kids kind of back off a little bit.
On this show, we talk so much about the business, and you've really done well in the business. But you've dedicated the business of celebrity. But you've dedicated and taken that platform then to nonprofit causes, and that's not something that we see a lot of in Hollywood. So, good job.
It's if you have any kind of influence to raise people's participation in helping a cause you believe in, whatever the cause. I don't think there's anything wrong with using that influence.
Betty White,
Thank you, Lee.
thank
It's
you
been a
so
pleasure.
much. It's been a pleasure for me. Everyone loves you, and I'm included in that. Thank you so much.
Thank you again. I enjoyed it.
And with Betty White, I'm Lee Hawkins. We'll see you next time.
The show is our best commercial. The show is, we show everything.
The future will continue to move forward with the Humane Society,